trends, they are not only horizontal, they are also vertical, right guys? So now without further ado, let's also look at the trends right there, right? Now let me make you guys understand, right? Bear with me here guys. So now as I showed you here that a support is a what, as an area in which the market buys, and I just said that the support is not horizontal only guys. Look at here guys, if you see, if you are looking at an uptrend, right guys, if we are looking at an uptrend, meaning that the market is supported, right, meaning that here we call this this diagonal support of the trend. This right here, this right here guys, is the diagonal support of the trend. It's the diagonal support, right? Meaning that if you're at that diagonal support, we should be opting for buying opportunities because it's a diagonal support. Like I said, support is not only horizontal but it's also diagonal, right? So if you're on the support of the diagonal, if we're on the diagonal support, buying opportunities, right? Because on a support, like I said, the market is going to support, making it a buying opportunity. Now let's look at the selling part of the trend, or the selling, yeah, like I said, the selling part of the trend. If the market comes to the resistance of the resistance of the diagonal trend, then we are going to be opting for what? For selling opportunities. When we get to the top side of the trend, it's a diagonal resistance guys. And what did I say on a resistance? We sell, right? So meaning that we're gonna be selling here. Now that's basically support and resistance. Now let's look at the downtrend. Let's look at the downtrend, right? Now like I said guys, on a downtrend, what do we do? On a support we buy, right? The basic terminology is that on a support we buy, on a resistance we sell. That's the basic terminology of forex, right? Now understanding that on a support we buy, on a resistance we sell guys. So being that if you're at a diagonal support of the trend, we have to buy. If you're at a support, we always have to buy. So here's the diagonal support of the downtrend here guys, or of the bearish trend. We have to be buying because we are at the support of the diagonal downtrend, right? We have to buy, right? Same thing when it comes to the diagonal resistance of the trend right there. We have to sell. On the resistance we sell, on the resistance we sell, as you guys can see. That's basically how the market moves. Never confuse things. Resistance buy, then support sell, right? And like I said guys, summing up everything and just coming to a basic conclusion, support and resistance does not only occur horizontally but also occurs vertically, no sorry yeah, diagonally, right guys? Support and resistance, they happen diagonally, not only horizontally guys. So always know that if you want to support, you buy diagonally. If you want a resistance diagonally, you sell, right? As I've just told you now, right now guys. So now, since you guys have only saw this part right here, let me show you on the real markets and show you guys how we actually apply this knowledge into the real markets, right guys? Let me just show you GBP JPY right here. Let me show you these areas right here guys. Let me just show you guys very clearly, right? Let me show you very clearly guys. So what do you see here guys? Let me just do it for you guys so that you guys can go with me. As you guys can see, there's an overall uptrend, right guys? Now how do we know that there's a support, there's a resistance? Let me help you find those things out, right guys? As you guys can see, I'm already spotting this support right there. This is a very strong support, right? As you guys can see, there's a very strong support, right guys? There's a very strong support, and on a support, what does the market do? It goes for buying opportunities, right guys? What does the market do on a support? It goes for buying opportunities. So let me actually switch on to the daily chart so that you guys can see it a lot more clearer guys. Now what does the market do on a support? It buys guys. Always know that it buys. It never disappoints guys. It's going to buy, right? Let me actually cater for the resistance, right? As you guys can see, what happens on a resistance guys? I just told you guys what happens on a resistance. What happens on a resistance? We sell, right guys? On a resistance, we'll always go for our selling opportunities, right? On our resistance, we always go for selling opportunities. So you see guys, basically what I'm teaching you guys as well, it's what actually happens on the real markets, guys. As you can see, on a resistance we sell, on a support we buy. Now what happens if we break out? What did I say? If we break out of a trend or anything, or of a consolidation, we are actually going to go for a buy, because if you broke a resistance right there, we're going to be going for what? For buying opportunities. As you guys can see, this breakout was very clean. It was very clean, guys. After you see a breakage of a resistance, it'll always be a support, right? As you guys can see, the market actually made a support, and we actually profited from the trade, right? As you guys can see how easy forex is. Now because of the market didn't break this support right there, I wouldn't, because the market didn't break this guy right here, this support, the market would have been sells, right? If the market broke out of this support right there, it would have been sells. We understand that, guys, because this support would be turned into a resistance. Now since you guys that understand the horizontal support and resistance, let's go to the diagonal support and resistance, guys. Let's go to the diagonal support and resistance. Let me show you guys again. Now we are on the diagonal side of the support and resistance, right, guys? Let me show you. Now guys, let's actually draw our support and resistance. Now how do we draw a diagonal support and resistance? Because you really have to know that, because if you're in an uptrend is characterized by higher highs and higher lows, right? So understanding that, you know how the market moves, how the uptrend moves, you actually have to be understanding how to draw trends, and always make sure you draw them as accurate as possible. Not as perfect, but as accurate as possible. So you go from the bottom side, which is the support, then you actually see where did the market correct an impulse, right? So the market did correct it here, mean that this guy should be a support, guys. As you guys can see, let me show you guys. There's actually a bigger chart on the GBP JPY weekly time frame, but without actually you guys understanding, as you guys can see, this was a bigger trend, right? The market actually it was ranging within this uptrend right there. As you guys can see, this was an impulse, then it corrected, making this guy a very strong diagonal support right there. Then the market now came to a diagonal resistance. Now that's why the market is selling, because it's at the diagonal resistance of the trend. And you guys can see here, we are actually at the support of the diagonal trend right there. The market, as you guys can see, is at the diagonal support of the trend, and that's why it bought. Right now the market is at the diagonal. Let me just show you guys. Here the market was at the diagonal resistance of the trend. The market was at the diagonal resistance of the trend, and that's why we actually got selling opportunities. So guys, that's how we actually master support and resistance, guys. I think that's it for me. That's pretty much everything, and same thing goes with a downtrend, guys. Never confuse things. The same terminology that you use right here, always know that when we are at the diagonal support of a trend, we actually have to be opting for buying opportunities, guys. When we're at the downtrend, when we're at the support of a trend, a diagonal support, we have to be buying, right? And we're at the resistance of the diagonal. When you're at the resistance of the diagonal trend, we actually have to selling. We actually have to be going for selling opportunities, guys. So we're at the top, that's a sell, bottom, buy, right? Anyways, guys, that's it for me. Without further ado, peace out.